good for that. And speaking of the speaker, we might have introduced that first prior, but the speaker is a very essential role to the meeting. And today we have Mr. Traver, who's volunteered to be our speaker.
So the role of the speaker is fairly obvious. At every meeting you'll have 3 people give speeches. What we like to do is everyone who gets into Toastmasters gets a manual. And the manual set up, the first one that has 10 different speeches, and each one of those speeches has a different goal. So the speech I'll be doing today is the last one in the manual, which is called Inspire Your Audience. But it starts you off with an introductory speech where you just get to tell a little bit about yourself while you're as terrified and nervous as you can be. That's a topic that most people are familiar with. It'll move on to getting you to use different voice patterns, getting you comfortable with visual aids, etc., all the way through. So following the manual is a great way to get through your first 10 speeches and then move on. But I will be your speaker today. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Growing up as a young man is oftentimes confusing. I know that it certainly was for me. To this day, 35 years later, I'm still trying to figure out the meaning behind a poster that my mom had plastered up in my playroom. Now this poster read, "A woman without a man is like a fish without a bicycle." A little bit confusing for a 7-year-old, huh? Fellow Toastmasters, Mr. Toastmaster, please raise your hand high if you have a father, a son, an uncle, a nephew, a husband, or a boyfriend. Put them up high. Good. Now keep them up and take a look around the room. See how many of us have men in our lives. Today in the United States, there are over 2 million of our fathers, sons, brothers, uncles, and husbands living behind bars. Today in the United States, a man will most likely die 8 years before his female counterpart. That's 8 years without his children or his grandchildren. And today in the United States, a man will be responsible for the fact that 1 in 4 American women have to experience domestic violence in their lives. Today in the United States, the role of men is in need of change. So how do we do this? How do we raise a generation of young American men so that they have the same ideals as my late Uncle Tom, the man who passed away 2 summers ago? But before he did, he told his own sons that the greatest gift they could give to their own children would be to love their children's mother. Now think about that. The greatest gift that you, and you, sir, and you can give to your children is to love their mother. It's pretty powerful. It's absolutely beautiful, actually. It's beautiful, and it starts with men. So let's reframe the role of men in this country. How do we do this? The first step is to redefine for American men to think what we think of as strength. Let's define it. Let's be honest, finally, about what it really is, and move on from it. As a gym owner, I believe that the answer to one singular question, that answer is how we define the totality of a man's strength in this country. What question do you think that is? How much can you bench? Now, as an American, if you can't bench press a Buick, we don't consider you to be strong. But fortunately, filling out a t-shirt doesn't make you a man, nor does it give you strength. But showing up and being present in the lives of our loved ones and our spouses and our children, and doing that day after day after day after day after day. Now that, folks, that is the definition of true strength. So let's both, men and women, let's come together and make that decision that we're all going to show up and be present in the lives of our families. And in doing so, we'll redefine what it means for an American man to be strong. And that definition will finally not just empower men and women, but children as well. Now, once we take that definition, we have that definition of true strength, all of us, men and women together, we need to live in a manner that displays that we understand that with our innate physical strength comes responsibility. Little American boys need to hear this every single day. That to use their physicality, to use their physical strength to protect or to empower, now that is the highest form of human expression. But to use that same physical strength to coerce, to subjugate, to bully, to abuse, not only is that the lowest form of human expression, but it is the truest display of weakness. We need to ingrain this into our sons' heads immediately before one more of them can join the ranks of the already 2 million American men behind bars. And lastly, to redefine the role of men in this country, gentlemen, we need to re-become each other's keepers. I am my brother's keeper. You, sir, are your brother's keeper. Men, we need to be inspiring each other, congratulating each other, unifying each other. We have an opportunity right now to turn around this Hollywood idea that somehow it's not only okay, it's actually funny for an American man to be out of shape, uneducated, and disempowered. Out of shape, gentlemen. How can I be my brother's keeper? How can I be my wife's protector or my child's role model if I can't get myself up a flight of stairs to help them? Or if I have to walk around day after day knowing that there is a ticking time bomb ready to go off in my chest? Gentlemen, vegetables. French fries are not vegetables. A piece of parsley placed upon a 16-ounce steak does not a salad make. We need to educate ourselves on what we eat and how we live. And we need to take this education and pass it down before one more of us leaves the planet 8 years before his wife. Or one more of our beloved sons enters the world and by age 10 has contracted a lifestyle disease like diabetes. The greatest gift that we can all give to our children is not just to love their mother, but it's to lead by example with strength and responsibility. It's to show up and be present in that child's life. And before you take care of anybody else, it's to take care of yourself. Humanity needs strong men. This country needs strong men. They need us educated, they need us empowered, and they need us in shape. Maybe, just maybe, fish may need good sturdy bicycles. And together, if we join together and make a decision before all of us leave this very room, and your very room as well, we can change the course of the future for our sons, for our daughters, and for our whole country. Mr. Toastmaster.